Ridley Scott's recent comments about where a possible Gladiator 3 could go may have spoiled the ending of the highly anticipated Gladiator 2 months before its release. A sequel to Gladiator has been in development since the blockbuster success of the original film back in 2000, but it's taken over 2 decades for a follow-up movie to come together. The sequel went through a lot of iterations, including one wild Gladiator 2 script involving a resurrected Maximus, before a project came together that Scott was happy with. And not only is Scott happy with how Gladiator 2 turned out, he's already got ideas for Gladiator 3. Gladiator 2 isn't set to hit theaters until November 22nd, November 15th in the UK, but Scott is already touting the next movie in the series. While it's certainly exciting that Scott is ready to dive back into the Gladiator franchise and complete the trilogy right after the second film, his comments about the potential threequel seem to contain spoilers for Gladiator 2. Ridley Scott's Gladiator 3 comments may reveal Lucius becomes Emperor in Gladiator 2. Gladiator 2 could have a very different ending than its predecessor. The trailer for Gladiator 2 seems to suggest a very similar storyline to the first movie. Paul Mescal stars as Lucius Verus, who, like Russell Crowe's Maximus from the first one, is taken prisoner by the Roman army and forced to fight as a gladiator. The vengeful gladiator works his way up the ranks in pursuit of a personal vendetta against the military leader he holds responsible. The trailer has even spoiled that this will build to a climactic showdown in the arena. So far, it's more or less the same story as the original film. But based on Scott's comments about a possible Gladiator 3, it seems as though Gladiator 2 will have a very different ending than the original movie. The director said that the ending of Gladiator 2 is similar to the ending of The Godfather, in which Michael Corleone finds himself with a job he didn't want, wondering what to do with himself in this new position of power. Scott teased that Gladiator 3 would then follow a man who doesn't want to be where he is. At the end of the original Gladiator movie, Maximus gets his revenge, but he dies in the process and is reunited with his family in the afterlife. Scott's comments suggest that the sequel will take a different approach to its conclusion. The parallels with Michael's arc in The Godfather hint that Lucius will not only survive the story, but will even become the new emperor by the end of it. Why Lucius becoming emperor makes sense for Gladiator 2. Forcing Lucius to accept his destiny seems like a suitably tragic ending. Paul Mescal feels sand in his hands in Gladiator 2. Maximus' ending was perfect for the first Gladiator movie. Reuniting Maximus with his late family in the afterlife was a more satisfying conclusion to his arc than getting revenge. After exacting his vengeance, Maximus finally found peace. This was powerful, but a similar ending in Gladiator 2 won't have the same impact, especially after the first film. The ending teased by Scott is much more fitting for Lucius' story, at least based on what's been revealed about Gladiator 2 so far, because it presents the film's lead with an ironic twist of fate. Having Lucius die triumphantly in combat while avenging the people he lost would have been a serviceable ending, but it would have felt like a rehash of Maximus' story. Forcing Lucius to accept his destiny and reluctantly take on this responsibility is much more poetic. Lucius has to take on the very thing he ran away from. Gladiator 3 will be a very different movie if Lucius becomes emperor. Gladiator 3 won't just be a soft remake like Gladiator 2. Joseph Quinn as an emperor in Gladiator 2 giving a thumbs down. Unless there are some twists and turns that the Gladiator 2 trailers are hiding, the sequel seems to be following very similar narrative beats to the first film. Lucius is taking on a similar role to Maximus. He's the hero who's taken from his family and forced into a life as a gladiator. He fights his way to celebrity status in the arena and bides his time as he seeks vengeance against the emperor or emperors. Even with the different ending teased by Scott, Gladiator 2 is shaping up to be a soft remake of the original. But if Gladiator 2 really does make Lucius the emperor in its final act, then it'll set the stage for Gladiator 3 to tell a completely different kind of story. It might follow similar plot beats, with an underdog hero rising through the gladiatorial ranks to take on the emperor. However, that story will be told from the emperor's perspective. Gladiator 2 could set the stage for a radical change in the threequel, and that would add even more excitement to Scott's series of films.